How the War Came Home by Donald Watt. So the author is Donald Cameron Watt. The book is about 628 pages. A great interesting thing about the books is the notes part. The notes are actually a great way to keep up with things and kind of get a gist of where things are on each page. So it makes finding things and finding examples of things really so much easier than what they could have been. And I really do like this portion of the book. I wish a lot more books had this in them as well. The effects of the war. Mainly this what this book is about is, the name of the book is How the War Came Home. So mostly it's going to talk about the effects of the war and how the people had to deal with the war. I found this picture online. It's a picture of Germany after World War One, and that's where the book starts. And I found a nice quote. It's down at the bottom. And basically, the first, I would say, 20 pages are just about how the war took effect in Germany and how the war and disaster that struck these people's homes. When you think about war, you don't think about it hitting people's homes, but that's the case with war. It's talking about deliberate bombings on these cities and how so many people just lost their homes and lost all the beauty in life. And it's really hard to see beauty when you're surrounded by destruction. And so you think about all the paintings and the buildings that were just destroyed because of bombing. Because bombing during that time was supposed to try to cripple the infrastructure of everything that these people are trying to make, these countries are trying to make. So a lot of a lot of army and military personnel were just trying to cripple so they couldn't make more tanks, more planes, more stuff like that. You know, when it's a total war, if you can take out all of their things that are making tanks and all their guns and ammunition and stuff, it can cripple a military. So that is what the main goal of these bombings were, and that was to take the morale and take the people out of the fight. So the obviously when you think of World War II, you think of Hitler, Mussolini, and all these other great leaders, and Hitler is a main person that everybody knows about. It's kind of hard not to know the things about Hitler, mainly with the Jews and the concentration camps is what he's obviously most famous for. A little bit about Hitler: he was a loner, didn't have a lot of friends, and when you mix that with very egotistical, you get a person that has no boundaries, has no way to no limit to what he will go to either be right or to prove his point. And Hitler thought he was going to be the greatest, so he proved it. And when you get someone like this into power, it only fuels that. And that's what Germany went through when Hitler finally came into power. Hitler's rise really started when the economic crisis got worse for Germany. Um, the book states that it took Hitler 4 years to take over Germany. That was meaning no opposition or anything like that. Hitler really gained traction when the stock market crashed. So the Nazi power that it was really gained that traction when all these people were struggling to find jobs. People became violent, and that's when when Germany really started going back into their ways of becoming violent. And that's when Hitler took his opportunity and really rise to that power that really took over the war. Many people did not want to go to war with Germany, and for a good reason. Germany was really above the curve and around the curve when you think of technology and advancements into the military. Britain and Chamberlain mainly wanted to negotiate with Hitler and give him basically everything he wanted to not go to war. Russia and Germany signed a non-aggressive pact stating that they won't go to war for 10 years. Germany eventually does break this by invading Russia, and they go to war as well. I mean, Germany wanted Poland, and they didn't want to be. I guess they didn't want to be stopped. They didn't want to have to deal with another major power in the war, and so not going to war with Russia was a big thing for Germany, but they ruined that. The big thing about the war is Hitler and Mussolini make very spontaneous choices and actions. They don't care about life. They do not care about the people that are under them. They really just want to drive in on trying to win, and it's always 100%. And when they do this, Hitler is basically not caring about human life at all. Same thing with Mussolini. They will just try to win the war with brute strength and force. They don't care who they kill in the war. Like, they don't care about any of their armies. Japanese was rapidly expanding. Their army became larger and larger as they were as they were going towards Tokyo. So, and another thing was Poland never recovered from the war. That's why they were bombed first in starting of World War II. They were bombed first because they knew they would not be a force that would give much restraint. In the conclusion, the real tragedy of this war is how many people died, how many soldiers died. Um, the body count was tremendous. There was no reason for this many people to die. There was no planning in part of Germany. There was no result from it. The Americans they were not prepared for a war like this, and a lot of American soldiers died, British soldiers as well, and Italian soldiers. But there was so much loss in this war. It was a complete tragedy. And I would say that's the real effect of war, is so many families losing loved ones and losing their homeland because of war. Because when it comes to war, there are no limits. And that's why Hitler was such a great leader in this war, because he had no bounds. He did not mind killing people. He did not mind killing innocent people, women and children. And the book was really good, though, and it explains a lot of that and how the rise to power brought war to the whole country. I think it was a really good book.